Barbarella psychedella. There's a kind of cockle shell about you. Barbarella, Barbarella. Okay. um, yeah. So this is Barbarella. This is where it all began. Unless of course you count my unsung videos. Oh, okay. Little aside. I do a lot of references to The Room just because it's like a notoriously bad movie that a lot of people know. Like it used to be that if you're referencing a bad movie, you do like Plan 9 from Outer Space or Manos, The Hands of Fate or something like that. And today it's kind of The Room. And as a result, I get a lot of people asking me to review it, and I don't know if I'm gonna do The Room, just for the simple reason that a lot of people have already done it. Like there was a riff tracks of it. The nostalgia critics done it. Like a lot of people have done it. So I don't really know what I could say about that movie that hasn't already been said. I'm not gonna say that I'm never gonna do it. Like my attitude towards movies is never say never, but the only way that I would do The Room is if I could figure out a way to say something about it that hasn't already been said. But at this point, I don't have any plans for it. Like, don't hold your breath, is what I'm saying. But anyway, back to Barbarella. The reason I picked this movie to be like my first video for this series was I wanted a movie that fit into the whole like cult film thing, but was also pretty well known. Like I wanted it to be a movie that quite a few people had heard of, and the simple reason for that was to get some views, because when you're just starting out on the internet, like making videos, you really need to get views right away, because if you spend all this time making a video and no one watches it, there's really not much incentive to keep going, to keep making more. So I wanted to pick a movie that was fairly well known, and there actually wasn't a ton of reviews on this one. I know I wasn't the first guy to review this movie, but at the time there really weren't a whole lot of reviews on Barbarella, which kind of surprised me, because this is a movie that's, you'd see it's really rife for riffing. Like this is one that I'm really surprised the guys on Mystery Science Theater never got around to. But yeah, pick a movie that was fairly well known, and then once I got some views, once I sort of built up a bit of a fan base, then I could move on to more obscure stuff like Night of the Bloody Apes, or the Turkish movies, or things like that. Good Charlie Brown sound effect there. And yeah, with this movie, I first saw it, I think on cable when I was like 11 or 12 or something like that. I was just hitting puberty, and the main reason I watched it was because of Jane Fonda, which I think that's the reason a lot of people watch this movie. And I actually don't mind this movie. I know it's not a good movie. Like I'm fully aware of how bad it is, but it's one of those movies that I can still watch and still kind of enjoy, just purely for like the late 60s psychedelic goofiness. It's kind of like the 60s version of Casino Royale. Like it's cheesy and goofy and doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but I think the fact that it doesn't take itself 100% seriously is actually like an asset. That was probably the best course of action for this type of movie. This Viagra joke coming up here. This was one that I thought was going to be like the centerpiece of the. This was like my favorite gag that I had written for it, and I thought, oh, this is the one that's going to go over really well. But yeah, surprisingly, nobody's really talked about this gag. One thing I'm learning as I go along is that you never really know what gags are going to stand out, or what what people are gonna find funny. It's always a surprise. Oh man, and this this fucking hairy guy. I've had people ask me like, is this guy, was that actor really that hairy or was it like a gag? I don't know. The actor's Italian, so maybe. um, yeah. And regarding, later on I make fun of the effects in this movie. Like I compare them to 2001, which that isn't entirely fair, just because the only movie that looked as good as 2001 from back then was 2001. But I think I read, apparently the budget for this movie was actually pretty big for the time. Like I actually think I read that the budget was almost as big as 2001, which is really surprising. I guess they must have spent all the money on Jane Fonda's wardrobe, because it does not look like they spent it on the spaceships or anything.
You are of female gender, are you not?
That's what happens when you get like a mime to read lines in a movie.
Well now,
Marcel Marceau.
city of night, ruled by the great tyrant. And this
I don't know how many other people notice this, but one thing I'm not happy with this review is how watery my voice sounds. Like this was I'm pretty sure this was the first time I used noise reduction software, and I didn't really know what I was doing. Like I just kind of slapped it on, and that was it. I didn't adjust anything, and it got rid of the noise because I used a DV camcorder for this review, and even if you use a microphone, you're still gonna have like the camera motor noise going on in the background. And if you want to know what that sounds like, just watch my first Unsung reviews, because it is really bad in those videos. But yeah, a lot of time my voice, it sounds like I'm underwater a lot of the times. I've since figured out how to use noise reduction software, so my voice sounds a bit more natural, but I didn't really have it for this one.
Okay, point taken.
I think the other place the budget went was probably on drugs for everybody making it.
However, Pygar and Barbarella quickly get separated by
That's the guy playing Pygar is John Philip Law, who was also in a movie called Danger Diabolic, which is another one that I get requests for. And that's another one that I don't know if I'm going to do, just because I have a few unspoken rules when making these videos, and they're not set in stone. Like I have broken them, but one of my rules is don't pick any movies that have been on Mystery Science Theater 3000. And I have broken that. Like I did Godzilla vs. the Sea Monster, which was on that show. And there's a few others I might do, but for movies like The Final Sacrifice, or I don't know, like Pod People, you're probably not going to see me doing those, because again, I really don't know what I can add or what riffs I can do that they didn't already do on that show. Danger Diabolic, I don't know, I might do that one, but I'm not sure.
He has destroyed 12 of my black.
Oh yeah, that's totally Anita Pallenberg's real voice there. Yeah, I totally believe that.
Of a pleasure unique in Sogo. Crime.
He also has an unpaid
That was my first attempt at doing like a female-ish voice, which also sounds like I'm underwater for most of it.
So it was a trick, was
A lot of times when you're making videos, it's just a constant, you're constantly figuring out like your equipment and
the birds. Give it to the
your
birds.
editing software and stuff like that. I'm still learning how to do stuff. I've got most of it figured out regarding like my current equipment, but yeah, it's always a learning process. And here's another. I don't want to make this video constantly like what movies I'm not gonna do, but Birdemic is another one where, you know, there's already so many things done about this one, and this Birdemic is tempting though. Like Birdemic is a colossal piece of bird shit, so I might change my mind on that one, but I don't have any plans yet.
Run by this guy.
Who are you?
I'm Dildano.
Dildano, who oddly enough apparently doesn't own a dildo.
So it
Go
turns
figure.
out Dildano is the head of a revolutionary force
I
trying
just-
to overthrow the Great Tyrant.
I just noticed the one guy, the
Purpose is to provide
like nipple or the like the chest in that one guy's outfit's cut out. I never noticed that before. Dildano is the comic relief in a movie that already doesn't take itself seriously, which seems a little redundant to me, but yes, his chest is cut out there.
Dildano offers to help Barbarella find her in Ren in exchange for the use of her ship and weapons.
I remember this sex scene coming up. There was once a time when this would have been considered a weird sex scene, but in the movies I've featured since then, like Felidae or especially like Wicked City, both Wicked Cities, the tentacle sex and pinball sex, this scene is actually pretty tame now, so I keep hearing rumors that apparently they keep trying to remake this movie with I think it's Rose McGowan in the lead role. This is one of those movies where I don't really know
After that awkward hand,
how or why you would even remake it, because it's so of its time. Like this is a movie that only could have been made when it was made. Like it was basically like very like a late 60s psychedelic movie. So I don't know what like a remake, if they would do it as like a parody with everything being really ridiculous and tongue-in-cheek, or if they'd have it like if they try and make it like really badass and have Barbarella shooting lots of people. But
aimlessly for a little bit.
yeah, just the whole idea of remaking this, I don't get it. Like are people really like chomping at the bit for like a Barbarella remake? Like is that something that's super in demand? Like maybe, I don't know, maybe in France, because this movie is actually French and it's based off of a French comic, but are people in North America really chomping at the bit for a Barbarella remake? Like, I don't know. It's the one callback, sort of, to my unsung videos. And if anybody's wondering why I stopped doing those, the reason is on YouTube especially, anything to do with music, you have to be so careful with. There's almost nothing you can do. Like you're almost guaranteed to get like copyright strikes if you use any sort of music. Like in those videos, and what was especially frustrating was that with the unsung videos, I wasn't making fun of them. I was actually like promoting them and saying like, hey, these are some lesser known bands and this is really good, you should check it out. And I actually got like emails from people saying that they bought an album or that they got into a band because of my unsung videos, and then, you know, I'd be getting copyright strikes, even though like at the very most I'd use maybe like 30-second like snippets of the actual song. Like in those videos I don't have any full songs, it's just little pieces. And I'm basically like promoting lesser known bands in these videos and then getting in trouble for it, so I had to stop. Maybe that's what they spent the budget on, these big magnifying glasses.
Yeah, you might want to work on.
Ooh, and really obvious use of a microphone there. That line, I remember I added that later, like after I'd filmed everything, just because I needed another comment there. And one thing I'm really noticing watching this again is that whenever I make videos now, I try not to let too long go by before I say something, like whether it's a joke or an observation or something. Like now I try not to let like the clips of the movie play for too long. Like you really got to resist the temptation to let the clips just go. And looking back on this now, there's a lot of times where it's like I should have trimmed this down a little bit, or I should have said something here, or you know. But yeah, I'm still learning. This kind of reminded me, I think there already was a remake of Barbarella, and it was called Flash Gordon. That's another movie I got a lot of requests for, and that one I'm probably going to do someday. But for Flash Gordon, for that movie, I think I need to make it like... that one I think I need to make it like an anniversary show. Like when I get to like 50 episodes, then maybe I'll do Flash Gordon, because that's a movie that deserves something a little special. That one, something that goofy. Yeah, I need to go all out for that one. And if you don't know how to end your movie, just have everything blow up and then fly away and end on a one-liner that doesn't make any sense.
An angel has no memory.
So how do you remember how to talk, Pygar?
Who the hell are you two? And that's the end of Barbarella. So, how does the movie hold up after all these years? Not
Yeah, like I said earlier, this movie it's definitely campy. It's definitely a bad movie, but I find it like an enjoyably bad movie. It's not the best one that I've featured on my show, but it's definitely not the worst. Like there have been a lot worse that I've done on this show. And yeah, so there we go. That's Barbarella. Looking back, there's a lot of stuff that I would change, but it's the video that got the ball rolling and really got my fan base, helped me build my fan base. So thank you all very much. Bye-bye.